So we actually know a fair bit about networks and how networks work. So when we look at what are the key elements for a network to function efficiently or effectively, even more so, is that the research has shown us that a knowledge network, a network of people, has three components: openness, transparency, and diversity. And the more you have all three of those, then knowledge is going to flow much better. So openness then helps to drive the transparency and then into the diversity. And you think about that, a network that is open, that many people can join, and then you add the transparency where people can see what other people are doing, so that we don't have the silos or the blind spots of what's going on. And then diversity, so that's diversity of opinion, diversity of people, diversity of perspectives, so we don't get an echo chamber. And in a network like that is that you get into a positive feedback loop, and what comes out of it is trust. And the more that people trust each other, the more they are going to share their knowledge. And there are a number of ways to do that, but the first, a core component is that people have to know how to be good networkers or have to be good contributors to a network. And that takes practice. And if you don't have the opportunity to do that at work because of the constraints of the technology or your job or something like that, you can learn some of those basic things by becoming active on Twitter, LinkedIn, through a blog, or a variety of other places. And you can practice sharing, so that let's say that you're interested in model railroads or knitting or something like that, is that you can join communities and you can engage with these people, and through that engagement and through those interactions is that you can see what it's like being a good contributor in a community, in a network, and then those skills can transfer inside the organization. And even inside the organization, there are relatively simple ways that you can help to increase that openness and that diversity. I have a friend of mine at the University of South Africa. He's a professor there. And many of his fellow professors do not participate actively on social media, don't read, they read in their own field, perhaps their professional journals, but they're not out there sort of scanning the horizon for what's happening. And every morning, my friend Paul gets up at around 5 o'clock in the morning, and he goes through his news feeds on an aggregator. He goes through Twitter, he goes through Facebook, and a variety of places where he gets information. He engages with others, and he finds things that he thinks would be of interest to his colleagues. And he takes those highlights every day and he puts them into an email, a simple old-fashioned email, and he sends them out to the people who want to subscribe to Paul's email. So that's one way in which, using very simple technologies and very simple processes, you can help get information and knowledge sharing out to your colleagues. A number of years ago, a question was asked of people, and this was a Carnegie Mellon study done in the United States, and they asked people across a broad range of disciplines, and these are people who are fairly sort of senior managers and above. And the question that they were asked was, what % of the knowledge that you need to do your work is in your head and that you don't need to go outside to get? And what I found absolutely amazing about that was that in the 1980s, that figure was up into the 70%. By the time the 1990s and 2000 came along, that figure of the respondents was down to 10% and below. So that people said that I have less than 10% of the knowledge that I need to do my work. So that, which really shows that the work that we're doing is with other people. We have to get that knowledge from either a source or from a person. And I think most of us see that most days, is that we have to ask questions of people, we have to find things out, and we're constantly interacting with each other. There are other studies that were done by Rob Cross on social networks, and they asked a question, and this went to thousands of senior people across multiple disciplines and industries, and they were asked, who are the best performers in your area? And so they looked at, okay, these are the top performers in finance, these are the top performers in human relations. And they took a look at all these people, and they took a look at their profiles and their background, and they tried to find out what it was that was perhaps common amongst them. Were they all very intelligent? Was that, and no, that wasn't across the board. Were they all extroverts? No. Were they all introverts? No. So what was it that, was there any common factor about why people perform well in their organizations? And they found one factor that went across the entire spectrum. What that factor was the depth and the diversity of their professional social networks. So the people who were more connected, deeper connected to a more diverse professional social network were the most effective in their discipline, and this was across a number of fields. So think about it, is that what is the depth and the diversity of your network? Do you know mostly people who are in your field, people who are in your government department? Or do you have a diversity of opinions, particularly on the professional side, and you're getting input from multiple perspectives? Because if you don't, then you're probably not as effective as you could be.